Um, I'm Dave, founder and CEO at Teal. Um, Excited to spend the next little bit of time with you here to talk about how to equip your job search. Love comments and chat. I run these by myself, so I try to get to them when I can. But yeah, if you can hear me, see me, um, love the feedback in the chat. Gives me just a better sense, especially webinars, because I can't see the people. So can't see the attendees. Hey, John, Jeremy, thank you. So the way I run these is I sort of will do, I'll take a few questions. So right now, even if there's questions of things you guys want me to cover, anything job search related, just toss it in the chat, and I'll try to weave them in. But I love, I do run a sort of similar structure for these, but it's really, I sort of take different routes depending on the questions that come in from all of you. And so every like 15 minutes, I'll take a break and sort of answer a few specific questions as they accumulate in the chat, and then I'll keep going. Um, so I'm Dave, founder and CEO at Teal. We're going to talk about how to leverage tooling for your job search. Teal is the tool I'm going to recommend, but I will try as hard as I can to talk about other tools you could use. A lot of this is process and keeping up with management and data. Again, I think our tools help with some of that, but ultimately you can use whatever technology you want that helps you succeed. That's what we're after here. I am using Teal Plus for this. Maybe 5 to 10% of the platform is Teal Plus. The rest is free. I'll call that out. What is free and what's paid. But for the purposes of demoing, it's easier to just use an upgraded account. Already, we will kick things off. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we are Tina Miller, a Teal member. So that's usually what we do with our sample users. It's a TM. And Tina Miller is a sort of mid-career marketer, looking for a director of marketing position or senior marketing manager. And we're going to use her information to look for jobs. And we're going to start from the beginning of the process. Oh, hey, Kathy. Hello from Miami as well. And what we're going to do is kind of like walk our way through the process of what I think is an effective way to run a job search. And this is a process and a routine that you could run, I would say, all the way into like 90 days in your new job is when I would sort of suggest that your job search is over. But obviously do whatever works for you. So the job search starts for me with looking at jobs. I know some folks like to start with their resume and say, look, until my resume is perfect, I don't really feel like I can go look for jobs. My background is my original background is as an architect. So I studied architecture, but now, and then from there I went into sales and marketing and business development. And so I think of the job search as a funnel. And another thing I like to say is, you know, you are a salesperson and the product is you. And you need to know what the market wants at the end of the day. We exist in a market. We are the purveyors or sellers of services, i.e., our skills and our abilities. And the market needs to want those, right? And so we're at the sort of tension of there's things we want to do, there's things we want to grow at, there's opportunities we want to explore and experiences we want to gain. But we need to match that with a market willing to pay us for those. Otherwise, we're hobbyists. And so finding that intersection is really the key thing. And so that's why I like to start with jobs. So I'll start with jobs on Teal, but you can search for jobs on many platforms, and I'll show you how we can do that as well. So we'll go over to, we're in Teal, and again, you can follow along. This is also recorded. I will share it. I'm backed up. I haven't shared the last two webinars, but they are recorded. I'm going to try to get them up today or tomorrow, if not this weekend. But feel free to follow along or watch the recording back as soon as I get them up. So you're going to head over to the job search functionality. And on the job search, what we've tried to do here is give you a lot more facets than you might typically see. Our job board, you can't pay to be on here as a company. We really try to go out and find as many jobs as we can, because we work for you. We don't work with companies. So by default, it just sort of sorts by latest. Jobs get ingested every single day. Tina is a looking for a marketing director. I'm just going to go ahead and start with, let's do marketing director. And so here we've got 4,500 jobs. That's a lot, right? I think you want to be thoughtful. I'd start with like a smaller set and then go to expand. And so one of the cool things you can do here is you can do like particular keywords that you're interested in. What skills do you want to explore? Or what skills do you not? So in this case, let's say, you know, Tina's pretty good with HubSpot. She likes it. That's a platform, she wants to work at a company that uses HubSpot. For anyone that doesn't know, HubSpot's a marketing software. It's great. So here, now we're starting to see some jobs that have HubSpot in them. We can already start to look at these if we'd like. These are in here. So if you're upgraded, you'll get all the keywords. For free, you get the top 5 keywords. So you can just kind of quickly see what this job's about, what are the skills that are required in that job, and you can go through these jobs. And what I recommend you do at this phase, and you want to get in a routine of doing this, I would say almost daily if you can, is just add stuff to a tracker. Think of this as adding things to your shopping cart on Amazon that you're not even sure you're going to buy yet, but you just want to start to develop an understanding of what those are. So let's go ahead and add that to tracker. And as you work through jobs, and the ones that you find interesting, just add them to your tracker. Just keep tossing them in there. This company at, AI squared seems pretty cool. I'll go ahead and add that to my tracker. And now you can, if you click position added, that'll take you over to your tracker. And on Teal, but again, you could do this with a Google Sheet. You could do this with Notion. You can do this with Airtable. Again, what gets measured gets managed. And so I would start to get those in here. We make it real easy for you. And I'll show you how you can do it with the Chrome extension and other places. But just get them all in. Where I see some people struggle is like when they're doing this part, they're already deciding, they're already thinking about what it's like to start at that job. I'm like, don't do that yet. Just get them in, batch the activity. In lean manufacturing and lean processes, there's this concept of batching. And I think a job search really benefits from batching. Like just do this part, then do the next part, then do the next part. So batch those jobs, start to get them in. And then what I'd recommend you do is rate them. Because what you can do from that is learn what you're excited about. When I ask people, do you want to work at a big company or a little company? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Sometimes they don't know. But when I show them jobs, they can very quickly say, yes, I want that one, or no, that one doesn't excite me. And then after the fact, you can go and look at all the ones that you rated 5s. I'll just go here and go back to this table view and say, okay, what is it about these? Are they actually larger companies? Is it that they have higher comp ranges? And you can kind of learn about yourself and what matters to you through your activity. And so that's why I always say start with jobs. Even though, you want to work on your resume, I'd say start with jobs, because then on the jobs, you can start to see what responsibilities are coming, what keywords are showing up most often, what are the requirements they're asking for. That's all really helpful. Now, I do want to show you another way you can bring jobs in. We'll do this on LinkedIn, but this works on quite a few other job boards as well. Here's a marketing director position. Once you install the Teal Chrome extension, which when you sign up, it's just there, it's free. It only works on Chrome, so no Firefox, no Safari, unfortunately. I'm sorry. And as you're bookmarking jobs, what you want to do is click that little duck and have it fly out for you. And as you click jobs, you'll see that they load up here. It'll show the top 5 skills for free. If you're upgraded, it'll show all the skills. And you can, as you jump around from job to job, you get that little summary of skills. And then you just save job. And the cool thing about using the Chrome extension is if you go back over to your tracker, it's pulled in all the data. It's pulled in the job description. I think if you're doing it in a spreadsheet, it becomes quite cumbersome to get the entirety of the JD. And that's really helpful because maybe the company goes down, or maybe the company takes the job down, or they make edits to it. So I like having the JD. I like having that as a record for myself. We do process all the JDs to make them consistent. We structure them with AI. So it's always about the job responsibilities, job requirements. If you want to see the original JD, you just click here and you have the original JD. The AI is not perfect, so sometimes you may want to go back and forth, but what we're really trying to do is give you a consistent reading experience of what's a requirement, what's a responsibility, versus sometimes I'd say companies get a little too cute with their branding. Uh, and so we're trying to make that consistent for you. Yes, for anyone that was asking, I'm sorry, the app.tealhq.com. But you can also head over to, sort of forgot that part, just tealhq.com and sign up or log in if you have an account. Yeah, it's totally free to sign up. We're a freemium model, so the parts that are gated. You'll see when they are, but the parts that are free forever. There's nothing that you're going to use and is going to be taken away from you after the fact. Um, Almost everything I've shown so far is free. The only difference is that you'd only see the top 5 keywords. You can bookmark unlimited jobs. They actually get processed with AI for free into the same consistent structure. All that's there. So I'm going to take that as a second to do a quick little stop, but that's getting jobs into your tracker, bookmarking jobs, getting into a routine of bookmarking jobs. I would say set a time aside every day, 5 to 10 minutes to just bookmark jobs. Maybe you don't apply to them every day. Maybe you do that every 3 days or something. I do think speed to applying is very important, but new jobs go on the market every day. Um, any questions on that so far? Just catch up. Where are these job openings coming from? We purchase from a couple data providers. We don't, but there we try. We have an old data provider that used aggregators, and we never wanted to aggregate aggregators. So there may be some older straggler jobs in there. But there's a company called LinkUp. There's another company called Fantastic Jobs, and so we don't go and get them ourselves. We found providers that do that, sort of a faster and accessible way to do it. But I think we're ingesting like 200,000 jobs, net new jobs a day, and then like another 100,000 get expired. All right, let me see. Okay. We used to have an annual plan. Last week we sunset that plan and brought back our quarterly plan. I'm not quite sure if we can still sort of do it, but we no longer have an annual plan. But Ricky, feel free to email me and I can try to solve for that if possible. Can we make folders for bookmarking jobs? Unfortunately, no. We don't have a way to tag or bookmark jobs right now, but that's a great feature idea. I will email out the recordings, Brian. Everyone who joined I'll send out an email, and also I think once they're in our newsletter as well, we'll send out the recordings. They're recorded, they're in Zoom. I just need to upload them. We put them on YouTube so everyone can see them and make them accessible. I'm the blocker. I just need to do it. Status option where I can reach out. Oh, yeah, I'll show you a little bit of some of the stuff we have for networking. Success rate. Uh, Not sure. Here's an excellent source online. This is Hiring Cafe is a great job board. I'm not sure our extension works with it. I don't think it does. You could bookmark it, but they source a lot of great jobs. And they have really good filters. It's a cool platform. It's built. It's great. Um, do you have any metrics for Teal experience? It really depends. We don't really publish those out. We've got some user stories, but it depends on like we're just a tool to help. Ultimately, that's like saying that a particular gym has a higher success rate at a person getting strong. Yeah, you got to go, you got to do the work. It's so dependent. I think, the people that we've talked to that, we've got lots of success stories of people who weren't getting callbacks or followed our process, used our tools, put in the work and started to get work. But, then there's also industries that are really, really tough right now. So no matter how perfect of a job search you run, so we generally don't do that. I mean, I'm sure we could put together some sort of sales metrics, but I've generally shied away from it because I don't want to give people false hope. But I also think that you don't need tools. I also think if you put in the work, follow a good process, you'll have success with a notepad, So a lot of it is effort and diligence and measurement. So we generally don't publish those out, but hopefully we save you a bunch of time. Okay, these mainly Oliver, we're mostly a US platform. That's what we orient to. We don't block the platform in other countries. So if you can use it, amazing. We hope we can help. But most of our efforts are oriented around sort of a US customer base for now. We're a little company, and so it's a way to sort of stay focused. All right, I'm gonna stop there. Nira, I owe you the next answer, but I will move on from here. Okay, so a couple little things now that you've got jobs in here. Once you have 5 jobs bookmarked, you actually can start to get insights on your jobs. You'll get this little dollar sign. This feature is completely free, and you will start to get data on the jobs. It's mostly around comp and years of experience. And I'd say the most sort of valuable thing on here is this one. It gives you a little bit of a heat map of the intersection of years of experience and money. This starts to give you a sense of your market. When I talked about markets earlier, jobs are all over the place. And I think with more and more states in the US requiring salary transparency, you can get more of that data. And so one reason you might want to bookmark jobs is to just get data, even though you don't want to apply to those companies and you don't find them interesting, but their salary ranges might be an interesting comp. Bring them into your dashboard because then you can go over to filter and you can do jobs just that are bookmarked. And you can see, okay, generally they're falling in this range of years of experience, and this is where they're kind of clustering from a salary perspective. And that gives you a sense of your market. I mean, what I don't like about a lot of the compensation platforms is even though they're great, they tend to generalize. And so now these are all jobs that I know have HubSpot in the skills. That's super, super specific. So I can put in as many filters as I want. Right now, you can't filter on here. We intend to bring those filters here as well. But if they're all in your bookmarked, you could kind of know, that's a kind of a sort of a shortcut to trying to do that. Now, if there's a lot of different things in your job board, you're not going to see that. But this is a really cool tool that we've gotten here, and it pulls directly from your job tracker. So, no two people would see the same data here. And it uses AI to parse and process the jobs and pull that data out. You can only show jobs with salary. So you can get those out and only with years of experience. So the data is a little cleaner because not all jobs have that. So once you get 5 jobs in your job tracker, you'll see that. Now, next week, the interface will probably change a little. That's going to move in here in the job tracker. We're trying to clean up the left menu. So that's currently in development and coming. So if you watch this back on video, or if you log in a week and that's a little different, that's why. Trying to just make the interface a little simpler, especially for when people first start into the platform. So going into a job now, right? Let's go ahead and take this one back to bookmarked. Here's your funnel, right? And I talked about the job search being a funnel and a process. And if you've ever done sales, you've used a CRM and you track your opportunities. These are leads. These are possible opportunities for you. And you want to start to do now is work them through your process and work through your funnel. So bookmarked is the first stage for us, right? You've just saved it. There's really no action, no intent yet. What we encourage you to do is say, okay, of the ones that I've bookmarked, again, you can do that in this table view, or you could do it in a more sort of preview view, is flag the ones you intend to apply to. Now you've kind of put them in this staging ground of like, these are the ones I want to work on, right? I want to create a resume for these. I want to research the companies. I want to network and see if I know anybody that works there. And what we do to try to save you some time with that is when you go to that stage, you have this guidance bar. If you expand that, we're going to give you some tips and tricks of things you can do. If you're thinking like, hey, what should I do? There's so many things you can do in a job search. We've got ideas for you. You don't have to follow them all, but we've built out these little checklists that are here with you per job you're applying to. So, if you can get a referral, it's great. I'm never going to argue that a referral is not going to be helpful. Now, do I think it's absolutely required? No. You're not going to hear from me any of these stats that like 80% of jobs are hired through referrals. Those are mostly not true. And you should do what works for you, right? If the idea of doing informational interviews and setting up meetings with people makes you really uncomfortable, then apply online. If applying online feels super tedious to you and and you're a people person and you like having meetings, then try to get informational interviews. I would say they all work. I know people that have landed jobs every way possible, right? And so if you're a person who has a great network, leverage it. If you're a person who, is willing to crank and put in the work and put in 100 online applications and make them really good, do it. Do what works for you. I think there are no silver bullets when it comes to the job search, but there are things that you are more naturally gravitated towards and give you energy, and there's things that are disproportionately draining for you. Don't do those is generally my advice. So, but I do think knowing someone that works at the company absolutely cannot hurt. So we've got a quick little way to find if you know anyone. We pre-populate the URL. So what you're seeing here is keywords equals monday.com. It defaults to first degree connections since Tina's not a real person. She doesn't have any. So I'm going to turn that off. And now you're seeing people at that company. And so what we're trying to do here is give you little shortcuts to save you time. You could do this yourself, obviously manually. You could put these keywords in if you got dream companies you want to be checking on a regular basis, you can make a Google sheet and use some fancy formulas to do things like this. But now as you see people, let's see here, you know, sure, say I was going to look into marketing and I want to work with someone who's in the go-to-market strategy department, you can now bookmark contacts. Say, I don't know this person, but I would like to try to set up an informational interview. I'm going to contact them and I'm going to set myself a follow-up, like a reminder for, let's just say today, so you'll see it. And I'll save that. Let me go ahead and copy this name so I don't have to type it later. And so now when I go back to my job tracker, I can actually go to contacts and I can search for that person and attach contacts to opportunities. And so you can treat it like a CRM. And then if I wanted to, see that person's profile on Teal, what that did is that saved that all in for me. And this serves a couple purposes that I think are really helpful. One, obviously to, get in touch with the person, but two, we do, if you're researching and you want to go into this career path, you could see some things like what was their career path. We do some things like just their titles. So you could see their career progression, the skills they have. So it's also a great way to do research and see like what are other people of a similar title putting on their resumes, what's their career experiences. So that's all in here. And then you can do your tracking and follow up. You can set notes and things like that. And then obviously it's in the job and those are interconnected. They're not automatically connected. You need to do it manually. We intend to get to that soon, but we don't have that yet. And so what I would do is I'd encourage you to work your way down the checklist and see the things that are helpful and not helpful. So next, we want to start to build our resume. And so we've got this, we recommend that you should customize your resume. Now, I don't think tailoring needs to be a super exhaustive process. I'm going to show you how the Teal resume builder is fundamentally built on the idea of a master resume and how that saves you time. And a lot of the things we do kind of subscribe to this go slow to go fast mindset. So there's a little bit of prep work, getting ready, but if you do that stuff, then you can really cook when you get things working for you. So let's go over and make a custom resume. So this is our resume builder, which you can get there through the menu. You can also expand the menu and see that there. And we're going to go ahead and create a new resume. Actually, we could have also done it. I'm going to show you because I want you to see it from scratch. But right here, you could also go to resumes. This one already has that one connected, so I'll go ahead and remove that. And you can make a new resume and you can choose to auto select from the match job, which we're not going to do, but you can do that here. We're going to create a new resume. I'm back to the resume builder. And what you'll notice when you make a new resume on Teal is that it's going to be populated, right? If you were doing this in Google Docs, it would be a blank page, or in Microsoft Office, it would be a blank page. Teal is a database of all of your career accomplishments. And what we are recommending you do is just kind of cherry pick the ones that are relevant to a particular job you're applying to. So as you add more content to your resume, it'll be faster and faster to tailor jobs. So when I look at this resume here, sure, this is way too long, but this isn't all stuff I would put on this resume. For this, maybe I wouldn't put this bullet and this bullet. And in this particular resume, I want to put this bullet first. But none of that is destructive, right? You're not needing to sort of hide parts of you that you're proud of and that you really want to keep on your resume, but this company just may not care as much about that stuff. And so the line I like to tell people is show the 10% of you that's 100% relevant to them. Because again, you might have done some stuff that you're incredibly proud of that's super, super cool. But if this company in the JD hasn't said they care about it, you're kind of wasting an opportunity to really show the things they care about. And that's fundamentally how we approach building resumes. And so the longer your resume, your master resume is, the easier that becomes to do. The way we recommend you do that is by leveraging keywords. So to do that within Teal, we're going to go to job matching. And here you can pick your job. And I'm just going to do monday.com because that's where we wanted to. We have this feature here that you can turn on once you're Teal Plus. This is a Teal Plus only feature that will pick from your resume. I will say it's a very strict feature, and oftentimes your match score will go down. So if you've already spent some time tweaking your resume, do not rematch it or do not rerun it. Your score will probably go down because we're really trying to get your resume down to one page and we're cutting a lot of things. So if you're going to start from scratch, I recommend you use it. If you've already got a resume, don't use it. It needs some work to be a little more forgiving. So we'll go ahead and get started. And so what it's doing now is it's going and looking at my existing career history and the JD and finding the keywords that match, and it's going to automatically pick a lot of those for me. Sometimes it can take like 10 seconds depending on how long your career history is. So there we go. It got us at a 31% match. If we look at the preview, it's going to be a 2-page resume. I do have some junk on here I have to turn off. It mainly focuses on the work experience. So it also doesn't do the entirety of the resume. So if we look here, we're at a 31% match, but there are keywords in our career history that are turned off. So as an example, global marketing, I actually have that in my career history already. And, it tries not to have more than 5 bullets on a particular job, which is just sort of a suggestion on our part. 6 is totally fine. So I'll go ahead and bring that back. Now let's see where multi-channel is. 4 is totally fine on the second position. So I'm going to bring that back. And so by having that master resume, you don't need to create new content all the time. You just go in and pick the stuff you've already got. And then down here, you can see all the bullets that you've already gotten. You can highlight them all if you'd like to see all the places you've got these keywords, or you can turn those off. Now, if you wanted to start to address some of these keywords, what I'd recommend is softwares and technologies. I'd actually put them in the skills section. I think it's like a fast way to get a quick win. More task-based or verbs, I would try to get into bullets or into the content. So let's look at the job description. Come over here and see if there's any tools. So they use HubSpot at monday.com. I already have a checkbox for that. Pipelining, yeah, maybe I'd add that to my hard skills. Go to market. Let's go ahead and do lead generation. So if you just do a plus, that will add that down here into your skills for you. So lead generation got added. Maybe I want to add account-based marketing. That added that, and so I'm getting that. But you don't want to like stuff this with too many skills. So now let's focus on writing content that addresses some of these. So we're going to go back over to our work experiences, and let's say that while I was a marketing manager at WeWork, I did some of this, and let's add a bullet. You could write it by hand if you'd like. You could use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, any AI platform, paste in the JD. It's right here. You can copy paste it, paste in your existing resume. Those are all things you can do, and they're all free. If you want to save a little time, and you get some AI bullets for free, you can do write with AI right within Teal. And it defaults to automatic. Well, it defaults to what you used last time. And so this is an active account. But when it uses automatic, it's going to use the body of the JD and your job title and your overall resume to suggest bullets. Now, since it's accounting for the JD, it's going to make up things that maybe you haven't done before. And so what we're trying to do here is suggest things. And you say, oh yeah, I did do something like this, but don't take it as fact. We weren't there with you. So what you then do is take those bullets and you can modify them and make them your own. Right? So if you did affect this and say, oh yeah, I added, $200 $1,000 in marketing sourced revenue over the span of 12 months. And you can go ahead and save that. And that adds in a bullet, your score went up. Now, I do want to show you the other ways you can make bullets because there's some hidden, sort of buried. I wouldn't say they're hidden. They're very findable, but they're a little deep. So let's go ahead and add a bullet again. If you wanted to go the more keyword centric approach, it's going to pull the keywords from the JD and say, oh, yeah, I do want to get pipelining in here and go to market. And I'm going to go ahead and continue. And it's going to generate bullets that use those keywords. Sometimes they'll both be in one bullet. It might make multiple bullets, but then you look them over. There we go. And so there's go to market and pipeline in the same bullet. Again, not to spend too much time on it, I'm just going to go ahead and use that bullet and save it. And now those keywords have been used. My score is going up. I'll show you guys another one. There's the job description. So if you wanted to address a particular point from the job description, you could do that, utilize data and analytics. I want to write a bullet that addresses that and continue there. And now it's going to give you bullets that address that. And I'll just go ahead and save those. And then there is the last one, which is honestly my favorite. Well, there's actually two more. There is coach me. So if you're kind of struggling with, say you don't even have a job attached and you're starting to struggle with like, what did I do? Coach me is going to ask you questions. What did you do? You can look through these. Okay, I did plan regional marketing events. Okay. And that, it's going to ask me a follow-up question. It's going to think through. It's looking at the entirety of my career history. Okay, and I boosted customer engagement and retention. And now it's going to suggest bullets based on those two inputs. Pick the one that you like the most, modify the numbers, and you can use that bullet. And then with any of these bullets, you can do custom prompt. And you could say, in this particular case, please take out the metrics and use, you know, qualitative language. It helps if you know how to type. And so there it goes. I wrote it. And I'll go ahead and use that bullet and save it. Now, any of your bullets, if you go back over to preview mode, which is really content editor mode, we're going to change that. Say you have existing bullets that you wanted to review, like this one, you can edit it. We do have this bullet score, so you can run the analysis on that. And it says, it thinks this is a great bullet. It thinks a little bit short. Could use a few more words, but it does have metrics. If I did take some of these metrics out and then run analysis again, the score may go down a little because it's missing metrics. It doesn't have a time-based statement, which we recommend. It doesn't score that high for it, but that's how that works. We'll go ahead and close that. How are we doing? We're at 3:30. Okay, let me take a little pause there for questions. My last one was at, I believe, the 3:15 mark with Noor. Let me see if I can catch up. Oh, good. Lots of questions. Bad. Hopefully I can get to all of them. I tend to stick around a little extra. So, but I do want to make sure I cover everything within the hour. So let me zip through these. Do you have a feature to help you tailor your resumes? I think I just showed that. So hopefully that's a good one. Yeah, archiving resumes. Yes, we got to do that. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, Jen. Oh, thanks, Jeremy. I try. Yeah, I try to keep it real. Are there any points on the dashboard to show job title, types applied? Nah, not really. We don't have as much that's happening at the job title level to show like efficacy by position. We do want to work like on a dashboard to give you that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. Glad you guys are connecting and networking. That's amazing. Yeah, all the guidance and all those tips that I showed, that was all free. So the guidance in the job tracker, that's all free. None of that's paid. Like I said, 90 to 95% of the platform's free. Okay. Good. Lots of networking amongst you all, which I think is fantastic. All right, cool. Cool. Uh, Randy, the product. Yes, we have some work to do on the formatting of the sections. We did just roll out a new education section formatting, but only for that one, which I'll cover now in just a second. How is the integration with MacBooks? I'm running on a Mac machine right now, so it should be fine. Google Chrome is kind of the preferred browser. One-page resume. We'll try to get this one to one page. It's going to be a little tough. Tagging resume bullets. No, not right now. We want to get to that. That's a pretty advanced feature. We're we're super focused on making the initial user experience easier. There's kind of a lot in here. We want to do that. I'm not. If I started to toss a bunch of like tags, I think it's going to get even more overwhelming. So it's a tricky problem. It's on my mind, but probably not going to get to it soon. All right, cool. And Marina, I'm going to come back to you on the next round of questions. That was at the 328 mark in my chat. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about now getting this resume ready to apply. So resume is a little long right now. Let's go through and see all the things we need. Contact information, just include what you need. Resume best practices, city, state, maybe don't include your address. That's privacy unless, your country or employment. Sometimes, for government jobs, you might have to do that, but I think less is more on there. I like a target title. Some people might call it a headline, but I like it as the place to project the job. So if you were going to customize one thing on your resume, I would do that and make it match the job you're applying to. So in this particular case, the job we're applying to is Director Regional Marketing. I might go as far as do that, but also Director of Marketing is fine. I think you're sort of showing, especially if you haven't had that title before, right? You're not lying if you're saying on the headline, this is who I see myself as, versus like, this is a job I've had. So it's a nice way to get that keyword on there without bending the truth too much. I really like a professional summary. I think it's a great way to create a little bit of a trailer and teaser for who you are. The other reason I really like professional summaries is where you can aggregate metrics. The example I give is in sales. Say over the course of 4 different companies, you sold $250,000 of business each one. Now you can say you've sold over $1 million in business. That's really hard to do on individual positions. So I like a professional summary. We have a quick little AI tool that will write them for you. It'll take in all your career history of all the turned on bullets. Sometimes it'll break our own rules, but you go ahead and save that. And so you can write those real easy per job you're applying to. That's why I like those a lot. Then work experience we've talked about. You can go ahead and collapse these. Education, do what you'd like. Some folks don't like to put the dates on their education. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can reorder these. Tina Miller is a mid-career professional, so she should not have her education first. So we're going to come over to the design mode, and we're going to go to sections, and we're going to move education down here. All right, so we'll go back there. Now, I will also show, like, to the question that just came up, education, well, I'll go back to formatting in a second. So let's just first focus on what content we want on here, right? So, yep, we want just our education. We don't need to show the years. I'm not going to show any certifications. I'm not going to show any awards or scholarships. Turn off my projects. I don't need to do any volunteering. That might be better for a recent grad who wants to show sororities or honor societies, things like that. Turn those off. These are the skills I want to show. And if you click on these, let's see, sometimes they'll take you to it. Here we go. So here they are. You can create categories in the skills if you'd like. You just drag them around. And, I don't think it really matters. Honestly, I'm pretty boring when it comes to skills. I prefer just comma separated list, especially when I'm reading them. I know for some folks, they really like to show them as columns, really, really clean. They like to make them categories. They might want to say, here, let's make a new category called languages. It's pretty common to see on resumes. Oh, helps if you spell it right. And I can add a skill. I am a Spanish speaker. So go ahead and save that. And so now you have categories if you wanted to do that. And you can, again, drag in between categories. All you need to do is turn them on and off. They sort alphabetically by default. If you want to turn that off, you can. It will go back to whatever the last sorting was. That way it doesn't sort of resort them. And I'll talk about how to change the formats on those. But I'd say first and foremost, focus on the content you want on your resume. Then we'll focus on sort of tweaking some of the styling. So I'm going to come over to design mode, and design mode is going to start in presentation. We have a whole library of templates you can browse. Since Teal is a database, none of this is destructive. Like changing a template in a Google Doc or Microsoft Word is tricky because you actually need to move the content around. Since this is all data that's being pulled into a template, you've got a bunch you can pick from. There's got some 2-column ones. 2-column across all ATSs generally do not parse well. We got enough requests for them that eventually we added them. I generally don't recommend a two column, but if you really, really want to do it, do it. The recruiters will still see it. You'll probably run into some parsing challenges. Um, Again, it's not going to be the reason you don't move forward. It's all about your content at the end of the day, but it may result in some parsing challenges. So do with that information what you'd like. We've got a few more like designy templates. We actually hired some really amazing graphic designers to help us design these. The ones with the flag are Teal Plus templates. So we'll just go ahead and stick to our basic simple template here. And we will use template. And so now all your past templates are here as well. So you can sort of save your previous versions of your templates. You can change some of these settings if you'd like, change your font, change your line height. This is all free. You can change these as much as you'd like for free. Um, if you didn't want to show, if you want to show just years, you can do that. Just years and days and months, you can do that. You can change the orientation of the header, date alignment. So right now we've got no dates turned on. I mean, we do here, but not on this one. We'll go back and fix that. Actually, let's go ahead and fix that real quick. You can click on the preview and it'll take you to it in the editor as well. So there we go. There's dates for that. Let's go ahead and expand that. All right, back in the design. So there we go. We've got our dates, location alignment on the right, and then this is where you can change the layout of the skills. Again, this I kind of like just comma separated, takes the least amount of space. Some folks really don't like that. If you want to do columns, you can. You can change the number of columns. If you want to do 4 column, 2 column, entirely up to you. And then you got your page setup if you're a little worried about size. Maybe we'll go to slightly tighter margins. We sort of went for legibility and airiness on our defaults. But if you want to make it nice and compact, you can absolutely do that. Your sections, reorder them. Some people like to put their skills at the top. It's entirely up to you how you do that. And then you've got these settings. So again, because it's all data, sometimes these things are a little unclear. When you first use Teal, you're like, oh, I have dates on the positions. Why aren't they showing? Because we are trying to help you have the maximum amount of time. So start at the company, end at the company, even if you had multiple positions. But if you wanted to change that, you could. You could do show work experience by position. And so now you're going to see position, company. I worked there. Tina worked there twice. And so that's happening again. This is my recommendation, but you can show dates by position if you'd like. My general advice is to be wary of this. If you were in a position for less than 2 years, I really would do it by company because people just get a little funny about that stuff. But if you want to show it, it's fine. I just think people sort of read in this F pattern, they go down the spine and they may not realize it was at the same company. Even if you did this and you showed the company twice. So that's why our default is that way. And that's why I recommend against it. But if you've got longer than 2 years, 10 years, I also think it's totally fine in this day and age. Again, if the content's great, people are probably going to look past that as well. Location might be one that you want by position as well. So you can change that. You're just reshaping the data. And then when it comes to your education, we just added this where you can make these across a straight line. If it is long and it doesn't wrap, you might run into a situation like this. So then just go ahead and edit the content. But that does tighten the education section a little bit. And then you can group those again by institution or degree if you want, if you have multiple degrees from the same place. And if you upgrade to Teal Plus, you can go in and sort of have a lot of fun with the styling. You can try all sorts of different things. You can change your bullets. You can change the spacers, do pipes, do all sorts of fun stuff with this. If you want to get like really stylistic with the fonts and things like that, you can change these, so all that stuff you can play with if you wanted to put, lines. What we're trying to give you here is a design system so you get consistency. And so even like the spacing between sections, spacing between positions, all that, you have a very consistent design system across the entirety of your resume. All right, that's all the presentations of the resume. You can use our analysis mode. It's going to sort of check for best practices. It checks for some basic rules for free, and it does more sort of advanced checking on some of our best practices. And if you'd like to, you can create a cover letter. I think you get 2 of those for free. You have a length, tone, how you want to set that, and it'll run. And so now you've got your application materials ready to go. While that runs, I will take a beat and look for questions again. All right. Marina, very long list of bullets for each role. Yeah. Yeah. So we want, once you really start using the tool a lot, you might have, my recommendation would be 15 to 20 bullets per position, which can be a lot of scrolling. You probably want 5 to 10 active on a resume at most, to try to keep your resume to around 2 pages. Um, so yeah, definitely filtering those gets a little better. Steven. So look, that's why master resumes are built. It's, how do you show? It's like you don't need to show everything you've ever done. You need to show the stuff that's relevant to them. I think excluding entire positions could be a little tricky, um, but that is the idea. Like show the parts. Again, companies are gonna bias the more recent experience. So if something you did was half your career ago, that's gonna be a little tricky because they want it to have been fresh. But you know, try to highlight the things that are relevant to what they're asking for versus the full extent of everything you've ever done. I like to say some people like to throw the kitchen sink at the company and hope that the company will go in and pick the things they want. They're just not going to do that. You're putting too much work on them. So do that work on their behalf. Make sure every bullet is relevant to what they're asking for. Okay. Okay. Oh, I use it's really about the lens. I'm happy to nerd out about that after. Uh, Oh, Randy, I don't know where I was, so I don't know what feature you're talking about. The matching, you get 5 credits on the bullets for free. Matching, you see the top 5 hard skills. You can do a little bit of almost everything for free. It just ends up like hitting a limit. Um, so we have 2 mechanisms of gating. We're trying to move them towards a consistent mechanism of gating. So you either get like partial usage or a limited amount of usage. Um, on the various features. All the AI features are credit based, and then once those run out, you kind of use them. They don't renew or anything like that. Uh, 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 mm, okay. It's suggested to reword. Our spell checker is a little funky. We use a third-party service. That's what this little orange thing is. So sometimes you might have to just ignore that, and you can do that by doing this little thing here and disabling it or changing it. Oh, let's see. You used to have a way to add the word right there. You can also do it here, which is like a little clumsy, this little pop out. I need to dig into it. This tool keeps getting changed. It's this company called Web Spell Checker. If anyone knows of a better third-party spell checking service we can embed, if we have any engineers on the call, please let me know. Please explain the appropriate best practices for matching score. So the match, we're actually working on a new keyword algorithm that's going to go into our internal sort of beta as early as next week. Right now, I'd say our keywords are a bit too generous. We get too many words, and so that puts a lot of the work on you. Um, so in the meantime, I would say feel free to use ignore, right? Just if it doesn't make sense, just ignore it, right? You're a professional in the occupation you're applying to. You're going to know better. Again, I'm sorry you have to do the work. Our keywords are getting better. We're going to work on that, but feel free to use the ignore. And then, I'd say try to get yourself in the 50, 60, 70% range. It doesn't need to be perfect. Um, we are going to start to also like rate them based if they were in the requirements section versus the responsibility section, because those probably matter more than just showing up. But yeah, I'd say, ignore the ones that clearly don't matter for now. New keywords are coming in a week or two. And then 60+% is generally what I recommend. I think we have that here. Yeah, over 50%. Linda asked about our English speaking. Yeah, I'd say we're not looking to fully internationalize yet. So how can we expand internationally to English speaking? It's kind of like an incremental move for us. Um, Okay, I answered if you can change Brianna. It's my sister's name with 2 N's. Um, I did show how you could reorder those. Let me know if you didn't catch that part. If you're unable to okay, so uh, Veda, if I say your name correctly. So right now, if you're on one of the modes, the bullet score doesn't catch up. So the key is to be on the preview mode. Now, if you do that mid-process, this is just like a little bit of like a sequencing issue. Now you do it, it shows up. So it's not great. I'm actively working on that right now. But if from preview mode, if you edit or initiate a bullet, then you'll see the bullet coach, and then you'll see the assistance and guidance and a couple little more manual things we have done here. This is all free. This is kind of before we had AI. But you have to initiate it from preview mode, and then the guidance will kick in. Let me see. Sometimes we try to be a little too smart with some of these things. So job matching, I edit it, right? It stays on matching because that's what we think you want to do. I do think if you switch over to guidance and you click in the bullet, then that activates. So it's trying to be a little smart. Sometimes I think it gets a little confused, but you just gotta, that's how you get to it. Okay, some more networking, which is awesome. It'll work in Asia. I don't know if we have jobs, and as long as we don't block it anywhere. But I will say, like, we're not as built for certain places. Okay, we're at 351. Shoot, running a little bit behind. So I'm going to stop here at 337 and jump back in. So now that you've got your resume ready to go, you're going to export it out as a PDF. You can export them as a combination package, resume and cover letter. I'll just do the resume. We'll do a quick check on it for you. Just make sure that you've got the sections you want, and we will export it. And that's going to do a PDF. I'll open it up. Let me do it like this. And so, fully highlightable, you can see, that's ATS friendly PDF, nice and clean. Sometimes you might have some little tricky things with a page break. You might need to tweak those. But then you're going to go, apply to the job. So in the tracker, it's here, the link to the original job posting. I think this job is, there you go, it's still active. You'd fill it out, apply. If you use Greenhouse or Lever, we have a little bit of like an auto assist helper, but it's not great right now. So we're working on a new version of that. And then you're going to move your job to applied, and you're going to track your progress. And what I would do is set yourself a goal of how many applications you want to get out a week. I like to think of the job search as this very important moment of application. Everything before application, you control. Those are the inputs. You have 100% control of that. You have 100% of control of like how often you're looking, how often you're bookmarking, how fast you're applying, how much you're tailoring, how much you're researching, how much you're networking. You control all that. As soon as you apply, now, it's kind of dependent on the company. You can influence it, you can learn from it. If you've applied to 100 jobs and you got 0 callbacks, what can you change on your inputs to try to get better outputs? But I'd say all of that is dependent on setting a cadence. Like set yourself a cadence so you get regular data. So set a goal, 5 applications a week, 10 applications a week, 20 applications a week, whatever works for you, and think about the way the week works, right? Jobs will generally get posted earlier in the week. Recruiters and hiring managers will review them towards the end of the week. Things kind of slow down, and so there is a weekly cycle and flow to the job search. So try to find your flow that works for you, get in a process and routine, and stick to it. And then you can over time start to understand the efficacy of your funnel, how many you bookmarked, how many you applied. This little widget can get a little funky. It just does time series data. So if you move a job and then move it back when you're playing around, you can't take that out of your funnel. So just something to look out for when you do that. Okay, so let's say you are now getting called back for an interview. So let's move that job over to the interviewing phase. And you can track your interviews. I would say get detailed about doing each interview. You can add interviews. Again, what gets measured gets managed. That's how you track everything. Another thing you can do in Teal, and you can do this with ChatGPT with their voice mode, which is pretty neat, but everything's integrated here, is that you can actually simulate an interview. So we're going to go ahead and do a new practice session. And this job has past practice sessions. So I'm going to make a new session. And my camera here, this is the one on my monitor. I can't change it from the one up here, so pardon that. We're going to add it so you can change what camera it's using. But I'm going to go ahead and start a practice session, and you'll see what happens.
Hi, Tina. Thanks for taking the time to interview today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I appreciate you asking. It's great to have you here for the interview. To set expectations, we'll spend about 15 minutes discussing your background and how it relates to the Director, Regional Marketing position at Monday.com. I'll ask a few questions and allow time for follow ups. Let's dive in. Can you start by telling me about yourself?
Yeah, I've been a marketer for over 10 years in my career. I've done B2B, I've done SaaS, I've done enterprise, and I've helped companies grow a lot.
It's great to hear about your extensive experience in marketing. Can you tell me about a specific situation where you led a marketing initiative that contributed significantly to a company's growth?
So I'll go
What
ahead
was
and end that. Yeah, you guys don't need to set me. If you want to watch me rehearse interviews, I'm happy to set up a webinar to do that. But it's gonna now give you some scoring and feedback. So I only did a couple short responses. I didn't talk that long, but it is giving me some feedback on words per minute. You get a full transcript, and that's going to give me some insights. I'd honestly, as a way to hack this feature, is even when you bookmark a job, if you want to just like think through some of your successes and bullets, ideally we're going to pull that transcript and maybe say, hey, that wasn't on your resume. You want to add it? We're not there yet, but that's kind of the broader vision of an integrated platform. But you can very much use this feature. We are working on something that should be ready soon where you can practice individual questions. For free, you get 2 interviews, I believe. It's actually a fairly expensive feature to run with the various AI services we're using to do that. Um, but yeah, that's right there embedded in the job tracker. And as you move forward, now there's other modes in the job tracker. So your resumes are obviously attached. It knows that. You can attach contacts. We do have these email templates. They're just templates. They're not that smart. But you can pick different types of templates. They change by stage. And then we do have a checklist. It's kind of similar to the guidance, but the interview practice is what allows you to do those. And then, of course, you can also type notes. The notes do carry over to the resume builder if you'd like, as you're progressing through the process. And the JD always remains down here as you need it, because you can even go back to it when you're going to go into an interview. Say they took it down because you're in the final stages and you want to reference the JD. It'll be here for you. Uh, then you're going to move the job to negotiating when you get the offer. And what you're going to do there is in our compensation tools, you can use the offer analysis. And so here I've got one already. So I'm not going to, you can just upload your PDF, your whole offer analysis package. You can see in this case, I've got a PDF of an offer, and you can ask it questions and you can chat with it. Maybe does it say who your manager is? Who do I report to? And it's going to show you who your manager is, what their thing is. So you can chat with your offer. You can ask for, all sorts of things like what are my benefits? We also structure it for you. So we give you kind of like a checklist of all the things to look for. So you just upload all the packages. You can just paste in the email they sent you as an offer. You can upload a PDF. This feature right now is in beta. It's totally free. So you can upload your offer and chat with it. But between this and the comp data should help you negotiate. Early on, if they ask you in the first interview, what's your market? You've got that data, and then once you get the offer package, you can use it here. Looks like it's stuck thinking on something. And then once you lock that down, you're going to move that job to accepted, and you're going to focus on getting started at that new job. Uh, you'll cancel your Teal subscription if you have one. We don't have anything to offer beyond the job search for now. Hopefully, we will one day. But that, it would be how you can leverage the tooling. And a lot of the things I showed you, you can upload a PDF to ChatGPT. It's just not going to have all your resume stuff in there already, sort of saved in. You can use Google Docs, Google Sheets. You can absolutely make a master resume in a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc. Again, yeah, Maddie, who works on our teams, had a great TikTok the other day. All these things, there are tools out there you can do for free. It's really about saving you time and having it all in one place. And so I think there's a lot of efficiencies you can bring into your job search and find ways to leverage automation and AI and tools, but still put your best foot forward. Whew, made it just on the time. I talked kind of fast. So if you watch back the recording, you can slow it down a little bit. But I will now go through. I've got 91 new messages, which I'm super excited to answer. But for anyone who only had the hour, I wanted to make sure I delivered all the value in the content that I could, and I will switch over to answering questions now. Thanks everyone who has to jump off. Thank you so much for joining. I love doing these. I love the interaction. I love being able to be helpful. You're gonna get an email on the feedback. Please give it to me. That's how I get better. So any feedback you have, it won't hurt my feelings. Don't worry. I appreciate you taking the time to do it. All right, back to questions. 3:28 is when I dropped off. Oh boy. Okay, and if you have more questions, go ahead and I'll try to get. I planned for an extra hour, so I'll be here for a little bit. Okay. Talked about the score already. Okay, so it's actually a little further down. Brianna's I answered. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Dan Wu. Yeah, send me an email. I'm giving away a few Teal Pluses. I get to do that. I'll take care of you. If you can't afford it, we want to help you get a job. Don't worry. Send me an email. My inbox is a little bit of a mess, but we'll take care of it for you. Or just send in a customer support and say, Dan said that to take care of me. Okay. Oh, awesome, Kevin. I'm glad it's been helpful. I'm loving seeing all the networking connections. It's awesome. Mike is asking, is the formatting consistent with ATS? So ATS is like saying soda, right? Every ATS is different. Workday, Greenhouse, Lever, Ashby, iSIMS, Taleo. There's new ones coming up every day. They all use different parsing technologies. Some are better than others. At the end of the day, they mostly have a PDF viewer, and the recruiter sees the PDF. What you want to make sure is that it's getting the text, and the text is searchable. And then some will use your Word doc, your PDF to populate the application. And so that's what might lead you to believe that it's ATS friendly or not. That doesn't really matter. The recruiter is ultimately looking at the PDF. They all have like a PDF viewer. I'd show you. We use Ashby. I just don't want to reveal anyone's personal info, but I'd show it to you. It You just see a PDF. It's like if you opened up a PDF, and it makes it really easy to go through them. So that's why I like PDFs. You don't run the risk of it getting reformatted. But for the most part, you're fine as long as it's not like an image, and it's not like a raster image, like a JPEG or something. So what I tell people is open the PDF, hit Command A or Control A, Control C, open up a text editor and paste it and see what comes in, and that'll give you a sense of how it's being read. Multi-column resumes almost always fail on any ATS when it comes to like parsability. Again, the PDF will be fine. I have seen some highly graphical resumes come through. I review them just the same. They may not be as searchable. If I go back and say, hey, show me all the resumes that had, HubSpot on them, it might not search it as well. But in terms of application and processing applications, I see them all, like all sorts of graphics, Canva, you name it. So I do think a lot of the ATS stuff is a little bit overblown. Um, really focus on your content, make sure it's good content, and you'll probably be fine. Again, some of the older ATSs might be a little problematic, and some companies have a little more. So don't take any of these things as universal truths. Is there a general rule of on maximum years of experience to reveal? Steven asked this question. Like, ageism is a real thing. I'd say if a company says years of experience they're looking for, that's generally what they're looking for whatever reason it might be. So they say 7 to 8 years of experience, and you've got 15. They're going to ask the question, why are you taking a job that's like junior to your position? So it's going to definitely raise an eyebrow. I don't see any value in putting it on there. So, like, how can they infer your age? Obviously, from your years of experience, from years on your education. I also don't think there's anything wrong with omitting information. So, if you want to show just your last 4 jobs, still shows you've got a good amount of experience. It's within 78 years. You're not showing the years of your education. You didn't lie, and so it's a perfectly fine tactic if you still think that it shows that you've got the credentials and the abilities and the capabilities. You can do it. Um, so it's definitely something, I think whatever best positions you for the job is what I would really focus on. Yeah, I mean, I think there's like suggestions of like go back 15 years, go back 3 or 4 jobs, but I'd say whatever best shows you're qualified for the position. All right. Dan, I believe that is what it does. I think you check the certain whatever bullets you check, that's what it uses to write your professional summary. Oh, glad you like the two column resume format, Randy. Yep. Yeah. Age discrimination, like all sorts of discrimination are real, so it's unfortunate. What recruiters bring back to the top of it? So John, your question about the ATS, like I can tell you my experience with an ATS. I can't speak for other recruiters. I do talk to a lot of recruiters to understand what the market wants. It's usually like what I do when I'll tell you my process because I don't want to speak for others. I go to our ATS if I have an open position and I sort by oldest application first, and I just go through them one by one by one. Now, we do have questions. Like at our company, we can't hire outside of the US. So we have a question. Will you require sponsorship? If they say yes, we automatically discard those because we can't hire those people. And they told us, and we put in the JD, we can't. So, you know, um, we don't even look at those resumes because they take time and we just know like fundamentally we can't hire them. So those things happen. There are what are called knockout questions, whether it's automated or people do some form of filtering. And then once we get that down to the folks that are qualified in terms of just like, you know, just basic functional requirements, then I will just go and they make it really easy. I sort by those days, I look at the oldest first and I work my way to the most recent. I might do that every day, every other day, wait till like 10, 15, 20, like sort of batch up so I can do it. And then I just go next, read the resume, make some notes, make some feedback. If I think they're great, start the process, send them an email. If, maybe not such a good fit, I might put them in like a maybe pile to revisit. And if I think they're definitely not qualified, we'll do the sort of what's called the disposition. And that's how a lot of people do it. It's not like that they get, and there are systems that score them, but a lot of recruiters don't like that. They just go straight to it. Now, we have had situations where we had an engineering position that we posted and we got, I don't know, like 600 applicants, 800 applicants. And our CTO at the time couldn't go through them. And we knew that Ruby on Rails was a key component as the technology we used. And so we did do a search for all of the resumes that had Ruby on Rails on them. And if it did not have Ruby on Rails, we put them into a second pile that we looked at after. And so there were people that had Ruby on Rails capabilities that didn't put them on their resume. That's a little tricky. And so that's where I'd say it's on you. And that's why keywords matter. It's not because it's some sort of fancy AI algorithm. It's just that there's particular keywords or terms or skills that you're looking for. And that's why we skim for those. So try to discern that from the JD. That's what I would really focus on because whether it's an eye, like the eyes of someone, or they're just typing in 3 or 4 words that they're looking for, if it's a particular technology, if maybe, it's a domain, you're working for an aviation company and they want to see that you worked in aviation or transportation or hospitality, look for those things. And sometimes they may not be written explicitly. So I do think there's like a little bit of investigative work on your part of what industry is the company in. They may not, if you apply to work at Airbnb, they may not say hospitality experience will be preferred. But you can kind of assume that as a hospitality company, they're going to value hospitality. So those are also the things that you can kind of do to sort of read between the lines a little bit. For parsing, Ricky, I don't think it particularly matters whether you're using a spacer for a comma. I don't think when I talk about skills, I like comma separated just for easy reading and taking less space on the page. Okay, is it safe to assume everyone here is unemployed or underemployed? And that's hard to say, Dan. And this might be revealing for folks. So let's see. Okay. Okay, getting through. Yeah, I love seeing all the chatter amongst each other. That's great. I'm doing these again next week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. In March, I'm going to switch to once a week. Got a great, we sent out an email today, so hopefully a lot of you saw that and attended. So that was great. So if we can get enough people coming, then I'll obviously keep doing them. Does Teal integrate with Notion? We do not. Notion's an awesome tool. We use it internally. They have a Chrome extension. It just gets the entirety of the page, but we don't really have any sort of direct integrations with Notion. Be curious what you'd think, what you'd want to integrate with Notion. If you want to send me an email, like what you'd like to see. Obviously, great platform with an amazing user base. Just hadn't really thought of ways I would do that. Okay. Thanks, Kathy. We're trying to keeping making it better. Is Veda, yes, it is ATS friendly. The resumes that export. And I did that thing where you just export and sort of highlight. Okay. Is this another new feature practice interview? Yes, that is fairly new. So, I mean, it's actually been here since the new year. We haven't highlighted it too much as we've been making it better. It's going to get an update in the next week or two, and it'll have a direct link on the menu. So that should be pretty cool. Oh, it's all feedback around interviewing. Cool. I'm glad you guys like that. It's an awesome feature. I really like it. I think it's super helpful. Uh, and you can actually ask it. It doesn't, it tries to take the role of the interviewer, but if you just said, "Can you give me some feedback on that last response?" It'll do it. So you kind of have to like think of it as an interface. You can talk with it. It's not going to say, "Hey, well, that's off limits." So it's actually pretty cool. You could use it that way. I highly recommend you check it out. Love a community component. Open to any ideas in there. I'm gonna try to get it on YouTube by Monday. If I'm realistic, I'm going on my daughter's field trip tomorrow. I have to leave at 4 in the morning. So I'm gonna try my hardest, but I will commit to by Monday these will all be on YouTube. Uh, the cover letter feature, yeah, it's built into the resume builder. Someone asked about that. So in a resume, you just go to cover letter and it'll use the styling of your resume to try to make a match stylistically. The content is here if you edit it, and you can create it with AI. It pulls your resume and the JD, tries to match those two together for you. John, we don't. Your data belongs to you. We don't use it for anything. We don't sell resume leads. We don't train models with it. Um, we're a very simple business. We try to add value to the folks that subscribe. So no, we don't have a lead. There are other like resume platforms that sort of sell job leads and stuff. We do not do any of that. Okay, I think I get to the end of it, and I'm finally getting to 4 o'clock when people ask me questions. Thank you for the feedback, everyone. Thank you, thank you. John's asking, are ghost positions a real thing? I think they're less of a thing than they're made out to be. You know, um, do jobs get posted unintentionally and forgotten to get taken down? Sure. I also think it depends by occupation and company, but the idea that like companies are signaling that things are going great, I don't know. I don't feel it's as nefarious as people say it is. But they for sure exist. There's also scam jobs, and I want to create some component where you can report those because those are awful, and I really think that's really a terrible thing that people do. Okay, cool. Yeah, Jeremy. I will connect. I'll go ahead and send you a LinkedIn request. Let me stop sharing my screen. Um, oh yeah, that can be a little tricky, Kevin. It can start talking the AI, so just give it a whirl. If you run out of your credits, let me know. Send me an email. We can reset your credits for you. Metrics are tricky. Look, I know not every position has metrics, so I encourage you to, maybe use qualitative language. That's where using like the custom prompt could be helpful to tell it to change. Um, but I would push you. I think a lot of jobs can have metrics, and numbers kind of stand out on the page, and it also shows you think in a little more business-oriented way. So I'd push you. Look, one thing you could do is to try to kind of hack our tools is do the interview coach and have it give you some metrics, talk to it and say, "Hey, what do you think some metrics could be?" And you can kind of almost like use it as a little bit of a resume writing coach. It's not that constrained in that it wouldn't know to not do that. So that's something you can do. If that works for you, let me know. If you're out of credits, let me know. I can add some for you so you can test it out in that capacity. Um, all right. We will wrap there. I got through all the questions. thank you everyone for joining. Like I said, I love doing these. I love talking to members. I love getting the feedback on the product. I design a lot of these interfaces myself, me and Matt Burt, who work on the team. And so the feedback is wildly helpful. If you ever want to do user sessions, you can reply to any of the emails that come from me, even though obviously they're coming from a system and written by our team, but they will either get to our support team or come back to me directly. We love feedback. We love showing new beta features as well. So lots of stuff still in the works to try to make the platform better for you. So well, today's my last work day of the week. So have a wonderful weekend, but hope you have a great Friday. And again, I'll be doing this again next Tuesday if anyone wants to join one of those, but feedback welcome. So have a great rest of your week and good luck with your job search. I hope you land those jobs soon. Best. Bye.